Russia is considering banning the sale of cigarettes to a very specific group of people, individuals who were born after 2015. Now, this is a strategy that I haven't seen anywhere else, and I thought it was interesting, especially because here in the United States, we've had numerous campaigns in order to lower the amount of people who smoke. And so in Russia, they're like, all right, we've done a good job lowering it so far, but maybe we should just ban it and just start with kids. And so if you were born after 2015, if this proposed law passes, then you won't be able to get access to a cigarette.
Legally.
Legally. Your parents will, family members who are older than you will, however, you will not. So,
can you imagine if this had the effect of starting some sort of like Russian black market? What could happen then?
Yeah, that would be weird. I don't think that would happen ever.
Probably not. No.
Now, let me give you some numbers on this because I think it's interesting. So the number of smokers has dropped 10% in 2016 alone. So they're doing a pretty good job in getting people to either quit smoking or not even pick up the habit. However, a lot of people in Russia still smoke. A whopping 31% of the population is still lighting up. So they realize it's a problem. In the past, they've been a little less concerned about it, I guess. They've been less concerned about it, and they've minimized the impact of smoking, but now they're taking it seriously. What do you guys think about this strategy?
I mean, I will say I think it's very interesting, but unless maybe someone can persuade me, maybe it'll be you. But no, I'm not in favor of this.
Well, I'm generally in favor of drug tolerance across the board, whether that be drugs that are currently legal or not legal. But it is, look, smoking is a public health problem, and sometimes it's difficult in the United States to talk about, collective costs of health because you still don't really have that language here. I come from a country with socialized medicine, and there is this debate over how much should cigarettes be taxed because this is what it costs us altogether to treat people with diseases caused by smoking.
Right.
I think in the UK a really good strategy has been to restrict where you can smoke and how much you can smoke, and then just hike up taxes on cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's but if that's not working in Russia, it depends. I mean, look, I don't want to say yeah to anything the Russian government is doing, and I really don't think they should ban this. But putting restrictions on something whilst keeping it legal is look, I used to be a smoker and I smoke less because of the cigarette restrictions and the smoking ban indoors in the UK. I'm still very addicted to nicotine, but so I'm on the gum, and I hope they don't ban that.
Yeah.
That would be pretty messed up.
Yeah, look, I think that anytime you ban anything, it does create a black market. And also, these are kids who are going to probably grow up with some family members who smoke, so they'll have access to it, And I think that anytime the government tries to ban something, people find it sexier. And we don't want to make it sexier. I think that what's happened in the United States has been effective. And what they've been doing so far in Russia, obviously they've cut smoking by 10% in 1 year. That's significant.
Yeah.
They should continue on with that. You give people the information necessary to make good decisions for them, and then you also make it really difficult for them to find places to smoke the cigarettes. And that's another thing that worked here in the United States. I think it's smart to do that instead of ban it, but who knows? We'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, I definitely think there's the pragmatic argument of what effect does banning it versus restricting it have on how many people will smoke, which is interesting. But then there's also the moral argument of, who are you to tell me how I can destroy my own body? And this is the stereotypical example I always give. But if your concern is that I can ingest this thing and it'll hurt me, why is it that I can still buy a bottle of bleach? I could go and I could drink a whole bottle of bleach if I want to, and I could kill myself. That's totally legal.
But 31% of Russian people aren't drinking bleach every
No,
night.
but some of them are drinking, what is it, that shower gel or whatever, because there's alcohol in it.
Some toiletries that have alcohol in them.
I think if you want to tax it, make it harder, that makes a lot of sense, specifically because this is the sort of product that, like with guns or whatever, can have a negative impact on people other than the one who purchased it and used it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that banning it outright makes the most sense.
I agree.
Morally or pragmatically.
If you want to see this happen, donate $3, $20, $27, whatever you can afford. You know that if everybody that's watching this video donated right now, we could stop the fundraising because we'd have enough. So go to tytnetwork.com/go. We'll wait while you make the donation. Thank you for doing it and for building a great new journalism team. And thanks for watching.